Nam yo ho ning ge cho 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 nam yo ho ning ge.
Hi, I'm Margaret, and this is the website where we take Buddhist philosophy and practice and apply it to the concerns of everyday life. Today we're going to talk about, do you know how reservations can impact achieving a goal? Two practitioners, let's call them Beth and Barbara, were discussing achieving goals. One commented that she had had experiences where she just knew without a doubt she was going to have a goal, and it happened. But now she had a major goal that she'd been chanting about for several years, to publish the book she's writing, and it hadn't come to pass. Then she said, I feel that if I finish the book, something bad is going to happen. Perhaps you've had a major goal and then find yourself not taking the steps needed to move forward. Or you stay at the same place year after year, even though you're chanting about the goal and think that you want it. You've had success with other goals, but not this one, this important one. So what can be happening? In the Clear Mirror Guidance, Daisaku Ikeda says, quote, the Kanzen is a clear mirror. It perfectly reveals our state of faith and projects this out into the universe. This demonstrates the principle of 3,000 realms in a single moment of life. And you can find that in My Dear Friends in America, page 98. Then there's a second principle that tells us essentially the same thing, oneness of self and our environment. That what we project internally ends up manifesting in the outer world. Because of these two principles, we know that there must be something inside of us that's blocking this particular goal if it isn't happening. So do you have reservations? Are you having fleeting thoughts that you can't see clearly? Or do you feel uneasy about taking steps toward your goal? These may be the indicators of reservations, which are kind of only half conscious. So let's take a look at 3 examples of reservations. Example 1. A potential author couldn't seem to finish writing her book. She would find other things to do and use other activities in her life as rationalizations. But the net result was she was not moving forward with the book. When asked about her reservations, she said, I stood out in school as a teenager and then discovered I couldn't be cool if I stood out. I made the decision never to stand out again. Now she feels something bad's going to happen if she finishes the book. Example 2. A woman wanted to earn $30,000 a month, but she could never earn more than 5. She was very perplexed by this. The person talking with her asked her about any reservations she might have, and she responded, my husband is very controlling and is in charge of our finances. If I earned more than he does, he couldn't handle it. It would destroy our marriage. Example 3. A young woman was chanting to find her direction in life. She claimed she wasn't getting any ideas, any response from the universe. But when this was explored, she said that an idea had come to her that she should take a certain class at the local community college. Right away, she just totally dismissed the idea out of hand because she wasn't sure she would like it. So she didn't sign up. She was asked how she would know whether or not she was going to like it unless she tried it. When faced with the idea of actually signing up for the class, her fears came boiling to the surface. She was terrified with the idea of moving forward. So what's happening in these 3 examples? The first one is an example of a limiting idea. The writer had made a decision never to stand out. Of course, a book would go counter to that decision. Now that decision she made as a teenager was no longer serving her, but she still holds on to that limiting idea that she can't stand out, even though she's long past being a teenager and is a highly competent adult. In example 2, the woman was faced with what her ambitions could mean to her marriage. She was going to have to explore which was more important to her ambitions or her marriage. and she was faced with looking at the impact her goal would have on her relationship. In example 3, the young woman was refusing to face her fears by dismissing the idea out of hand given to her by the universe. When we set a big goal, we have to look at our fears and get the support we need to overcome them. So how can we handle reservations? The first thing, awareness, is the first step. We need to capture those thoughts that flit by and notice what you're thinking when you become uneasy. These are the thoughts you need to bring into awareness. You might do a writing exercise with the question, what will happen if I move forward with my goal? At some level, whether you want to admit it or not, you know what you're afraid of. If we're looking at limiting beliefs, they're there to protect us. We all have limiting beliefs that we've learned from other people. What would your family have said about this big goal? What have you learned by watching adults deal with this issue when you were young? Many of our limiting beliefs have been taught to us through watching how adults in our lives handle the situation that we might be thinking about making as a goal now. For example, say you wanted to make more money. Did your parents always say they didn't have the money to do this or that? We adopted those beliefs as children before we learned to think critically. So write down what you've learned around a goal that you've set. Now look at who you are in the present. You're no longer a child, and create another belief that allows you to move forward. We all fear rejection. If I got this goal, would I feel rejection from my community? We won't die if we were rejected like we might have 300 or 400 years ago. If some people don't want what we offer, other people are going to love it. Reservations definitely show up when a goal might impact a relationship. If this is the case, look at the situation carefully. Evaluating the situation will help you to make a decision about how to move forward. This woman in our example decided her marriage was more important than the goal, so she reduced the amount she wanted to make. She could have decided she didn't want a relationship that would limit what she could do, but she needed to resolve the issue one way or another. As long as we avoid looking at these issues, the more our reservations will just keep us tightly in place and we won't move forward toward our goal. When we're dealing with fears, we may need to get support to help us over the hump. In the case of the young woman who was terrified about signing up for a class, she got support from her husband who actually took her to register. That was what she needed. Now she's on her way and is in a full-time program. Any goal implies change, and most of us fear change. We're afraid we might be worse off if change happens. So try asking yourself, what if I got this goal? How would my life change? It'll get you to really look at what you're facing. Summary. Today, we looked at how we might not be moving forward with a major goal, and we examined 3 examples. One, where there was a limiting belief. The second, where the goal would impact a relationship. And the third, where the direction was dismissed due to fears. Then we discussed how we might handle some of these instances through writing exercises, answering the following questions. If I got the goal, would I face rejection from my community? What if I got the goal? How would my life change? How will my goal impact my relationship? What have I learned as a child about the topic? For example, if I wanted to double my income, was I taught that I wouldn't know who my friends were if I had money? What are my fears around moving forward towards this goal? Where can I find support? And what was I taught about my own ability to take on a goal like this? Here are some other vlogs that are related that you might find interesting. Number 1, how can I change my limited thinking? 2, 5 things to consider if not getting results from chanting. 3, 7 ways we block ourselves when chanting for a goal. As always, I'm always interested to hear what you're going to say. Any ideas that you have for topics or anything else that you'd like to share, please do send comments. and I'll see you in 2 weeks.